This is the people's house. This is the people's gavel. In the people's name, it is my privilege to hand this gavel to the Speaker of the House, Congressman and Honorable Paul Ryan.
The end of an era in Congress, the beginning of new leadership, but what can Paul Ryan hope to accomplish that John Boehner could not, especially when no one considers how disastrously broken Washington is and has been for some time? Not as if you can fix that overnight. And how does the Republican National Committee fix the absolute mess they have made of the Republican debate format, one that has voters on both sides holding their noses over the sometimes partisan and often laughable stench of questioning? Allow the political animal to make sense of it all, which they will. Right and tight veteran Republican strategist Ford O'Connell, left and leaning in veteran Democratic strategist Kevin Cate. Gentlemen, welcome back. Ford, let's get to you first on this side with Paul Ryan standing there taking the gavel from Nancy Pelosi. But seriously now, what can we expect from this, and why should the American public believe that a dysfunctional beltway can actually be fixed by one guy?
Well, they can't be fixed by one guy, but you can clean the slate. Look, much of Paul Ryan's future success hinges on whether or not we have a Republican president in the 2016 election. Look, this is a guy who sees himself as a perfectionist in the Jack Kemp mold. What he wants to get through is entitlement and tax reform, and that's not going to happen without the White House. Hopefully he'll use the next year and a half wisely to settle a foundation, because if we don't win the White House in 2016, you think it's dysfunctional now, just wait.
All right, now in his very first remarks to the chamber, the brand new speaker said, and we've heard it before, we'll hear it again, he said, the House is broken. Here's what he said.
We are the body closest to the people. Every 2 years, we face the voters and sometimes face the music. But we do not echo the people, we represent the people. We are supposed to study up and do the homework that they cannot do. So when we do not follow regular order, when we rush to pass bills that a lot of us don't understand, we are not doing our job.
Kevin, it all sounds real good, but again, you have to ask yourself, is the left willing to work with him? Wait a minute, there are some people who would even say that Paul Ryan is part of the left, and that's why the Democrats are happy.
Well, some of those people need to have their head checked. What I'm hoping, and I'm an optimist, I work for Charlie Crist, and he's a noted optimist, so I'm going to be optimistic about Speaker Ryan and what he's doing, but to be real frank, anything other than a government shutdown seems like a success with his speakership. So hopefully we'll be able to wait this out. He'll be able to hold the government together until we get Secretary Clinton in the White House and hopefully a few more Democrats in the Congress.
All right, let's go ahead and let this all lie because it's his first day. We don't want to get too much into Paul Ryan here. Let's talk about one of the debate issues, and this is the Republican National Committee. Kevin, I'm going to start with you on this one. Reince Priebus is just incensed at what happened. There's a lot of talk about the questioning. And Kevin, let's be honest here. I think Priebus has got a reason to be upset about what they did, the RNC did, by allowing this to get out of hand. And even you as the left have got to agree that the questions were insipid in so many ways last night.
Well, there seems to be a lot of whining going on. And
wait a minute. Hang on, Kevin. I'm going to stop you there. Is it whining or is it fact?
Well, what the fact is there was really only one person on CNBC last night who was focused on small businesses and doing what's right for the middle class. His name's Marcus Lemonis, and his show was on after the debate. There wasn't one presidential candidate up there that really was speaking for the middle class or for the things that hold this country together.
Wait a minute, Kevin. When literally half the questions are formed in the following way: you did or said X that is controversial. Explain. Look, the moderators have a problem. I wrote about this in my last book, believe it or not. When I talked about the debates, I said leave the sideshows to Donald Trump. What the RNC needs to do is vet a set of moderators and put it forward, because if not, I could have actually gotten a better debate with Rachel Maddow and Chris Matthews than I got out of CNBC last night.
You know what's hard? What's hard for the Republicans is any kind of fact. And what you're saying is you're against them setting out the facts. And CNBC is a business network, and they deal in hard numbers. And most of those numbers, whether it was Senator Rubio and his credit card and his finances, whether it was Ben Carson,
that didn't come up, his credit card and his finances. What came up was his tax plan, and John Harwood was proven wrong. So when you're going to use numbers, you need to have the facts to back them up.
I know it's very hard for Republicans to do math and have facts presented to them and then answer a question, but that would have been refreshing if they actually would have, instead of blaming the media for all their math problems, actually focused on doing something for small business owners and the middle class.
Would it have not been great, though, if they would have asked substantive questions and not asked things, come on, Kevin, like fantasy football? I'll tell you what, Chris Christie, in my mind, nailed it, had the best line of the night. That was just stupid. And I'm talking as a journalist who's been doing this for more than 30 years. That was embarrassing to ask something like that. You got to agree with this.
I thought the answer that Jeb Bush gave was embarrassing. I thought that Chris Christie did an excellent job of kind of refocusing the debate. But you'll remember when the best moment from Ted Cruz was a question about the debt ceiling, and instead of answering it, he blamed the so-called liberal media. And that is a tired tactic. It's like Newt Gingrich was doing last time. It may get some cheap applause, but it's not going to win you a campaign. And if any of these candidates
actually, it could win you a Republican nomination. My guys don't like the media. I would agree with you that it's not going to win you an election to not talk about the debt ceiling.
All right, then let's do this. I only got a few seconds left here. Kevin, to you first. Top three in the debate last night.
I mean, I thought Senator Rubio was by far and away had the best performance of last night, but it was a performance. He didn't address many of the questions that were asked to him. For me, I mean, I love Donald Trump. Can't help but watch him as a train wreck, as a sideshow, as a clown show. So that's always entertaining to me. There's no one else on the stage.
All right, there you
night.
go. Now, I only got 10 seconds left for top three.
Rubio, Cruz, Christie, and Trump ran faster than Carson. That's all that matters for Trump.
All right. I love it. Slightly spirited. Let's get ready for the good times now. Come on, there are more debates to come. Kevin Cate, Ford O'Connell, gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us. We'll do it again soon. Now, how can you tell who really won the GOP debate last night, even with the sound occasionally turned down? We'll talk about that next on the Hardline. But right now, who won the debate in your opinion? Just go to newsmaxpolls.com and tell us. We're keeping this poll up now because people are still talking about it. Stay with us. We'll talk about image, if you will, and much more when the Hardline continues.